cloud native, SD-WAN, analytics, machine learning, agile development and testing, edge computing, DevOps, service management, enterprise architecture, hybrid IT, neural networks, cybersecurity, serverless, low-code, no-code.
All right. Thanks for joining me today on this webinar at the Low Code, No Code Developer Days 2021. It's kind of exciting to be here. It's nice to see so many esteemed colleagues as well as practitioners out there who are really getting things done with low code on this day-long session today. So I'm Jason English, a principal analyst at Intelix. A little bit about Intelix. Intelix is an industry analyst firm focused on customer-driven, technology-empowered digital transformation in the enterprise. We cover lots of disruptive trends within enterprise IT, from mainframes to low-code, DevOps to digital process automation. However, instead of focusing on technology itself or ranking vendors, Intelix raises the discussion to a broad business context that connects the dots for an audience of business and IT professionals alike. We have a massive collection of thought leadership content on Intelix.com, as well as appearing in several external publications like SD Times, of course, SiliconANGLE, The New Stack, and D-Zone, and of course on Twitter and LinkedIn and social media. Now let's get started. Now, looking at the rate of investment and acquisition in the low-code solution space, it seems like this arena has never been hotter. But in another sense, it's always been with us over the years in the form of various app builders and automation tools. Low-code solutions arose from the natural desire of every business to eliminate talent constraints and get all hands on deck and become productive in delivering on the needs of customers, given constrained IT resources and budgets. And what we call modern low-code arises from modernization in the rest of our technology stack. So we'll kind of get into how that happens as we go along here. So this is the new norm. Companies seeking to expand their market will naturally want to have new services for customers and to allow an increasingly mobile and distributed workforce to scale regionally or globally. And it doesn't make sense to send an IT team out to everyone or start up some big bang app dev project when it could be done in a much more elegant way. Now, businesses are perfectly comfortable offloading their everyday desktop software and collaboration tools onto on-demand services, often with the help of a specialized partner or SI. We have better internet bandwidth, we have more responsiveness from SaaS providers on improving the features we need, and better performance and capacity from cloud vendors at better prices. Dynamic workloads that are running in cloud instances are increasing exponentially in number, and the resulting low-code apps must maintain state and security across all of these aspects of a modern architecture. What we do know is that companies, they won't wait to make productive use out of all of these architectural advantages that cloud and modern distributed applications give us. It would be a non-starter if we didn't have that, if we weren't able to take advantage of this new modern architecture. Now, according to my colleague Jason Bloomberg, fellow analyst at Intelix, low code is on a continuum between no code, or tools requiring no coding at all, and pro code on the right, tools that are easing developers and reusing code or leveraging development skills. And so you can kind of see how it creates this virtuous feedback loop where we tend to wander between this no-code applications usually for more simplistic functionality, but just being something that almost anybody could use, to low code and then pro code when more sophisticated functionality is needed, and then causes the pendulum to swing back toward low code and no code when there's too much complexity or code added underneath the process. Now, taking it one step further, I'd like to connect low-code trends to similar movements in the neighboring spaces of process automation and application testing, like so. Now you can see in this above Argyle pattern here, as I call it, like an Argyle mesh around low-code. It highlights the parallels between low-code spectrums of assisted development solutions and the closely related business process automation and application testing spaces. They share several commonalities, including a business user-centric or a no-code point-and-click type of simplicity on one end, and an engineering-centric end requiring deeper technical knowledge. So, in fact, we see several leading assisted development players that arise from testing tools or automation tools that eventually found their stride in the low-code space, and vice versa. We've seen low-code vendors that also end up being more oriented toward testing or just automation, or for instance, becoming an RPA firm instead of a low-code application firm. Necessity is the mother of invention, and by the same token, laziness would be the father of invention. And so technical debt, that's everything that's legacy. Basically, that's like the grandparents of invention. So technical debt, I call it the granddaddy of low-code challenges. The need to maintain existing systems and then retire or refactor obsolete or malfunctioning application code simply takes up the bulk of most established companies' IT resources now. I took this handy chart from a recent OutSystems survey on stopping technical debt, but you can easily extract that the high cost of technical debt from a visit to any enterprise with a significant amount of legacy architecture. You can just look around and you'll find things like environment wranglers, or basically whole departments do nothing but debugging or putting new pieces of code on the schedule for refactoring. When only 1/3 of an organization's IT budget or time is spent innovating new capabilities, that leaves the business struggling. Of course, we want to make sure that if we're using low code, that it's going to pay down technical debt rather than creating more that we have to deal with later. So anyway, I just think this is a really big driver for how companies get started on the road toward low code. Many low-code tools started out from an integration perspective as utilities that allowed teams to stitch together and move data between multiple tools and multiple services to provide new functionality that wasn't readily available before. Then, they gradually start to make the experience easy enough for non-developers to use, resulting in low-code integration. Robust low-code integration means even non-developers should be able to discover, test, invoke, and include both internal core systems and external services into application workflows without having to understand how to construct their own APIs. Indeed, when you evaluate low-code vendors, you should always try digging past this big wall of logos that you always see of adapters or connectors, and just verify that your CRM or your order management system or your credit card processor, whatever you need to hook up to your applications, is effectively supported, and look for other customers like yourselves as well who are using the same parts of the technology stack, just to make sure that your integrations will be supported. Now, an ungoverned low-code development environment quickly becomes an unhappy development environment if a critical security flaw is exposed. Now, security SecOps teams, they're also extremely resource constrained, just like development and all of IT is, in fact. There's usually up to 40 or 50% of the jobs that security will have will be open at any given time in most large companies. So, figure out exactly how to authorize conventional development teams for environment access is hard enough, much less fulfilling low-code citizen developers with business or departmental level access. So, And it's particularly hard because citizen developers, they are not security experts, so they're often quite oblivious to the vulnerabilities they might create by developing these applications. Ideally, the modern low-code solution can ease the security management burden with role-based access controls that can be categorized at a team or a functional responsibility level. That way, all the participants can move really fast without breaking things. But if they fail to do this right, if your tool can't make it easier to manage security and access across these user bases, then you could either get hacked, or if it's too difficult to manage, and you're very slow providing the necessary access to get the job done, you basically create rogue IT at that point. Teams will run off and their credit card and just purchase the tool and do it themselves anyway. So we don't want that either, obviously. Security, it's an aspect all low-code vendors claim to have buttoned up for you, but you need to have your own team seriously look at the security in your context as well, beyond, they might list themselves as being SOC 2 certified or different, ISO, whatever that set of certifications is. You need to kind of get behind that, and you might get your CISO or security team involved just to at least verify that it supports your policies. Now, even if you make the development process dead simple, it needs to maintain functional integrity to retain value. So today's enterprise content, it sits in SaaS apps as well as in on-premises silos, and a lot of unstructured documents, files. They may be inaccessible for use by applications and other processes. And low code is part of bringing order to this chaos of content and data, and allowing you to really have complex applications that can span and have the necessary data inside them. So what was formerly a manually coded process or a rote process would be that was hidden within monolithic business silos, or SAP or Oracle or wherever, it needs to be built or rebuilt by business domain experts that are in the low-code platform. Whether that newly encoded functionality is vertical in nature, it could be using specific knowledge that has to do with the automotive or healthcare industry, or if it's aligned to a horizontal business function like HR or finance. That domain expertise comes in very handy in designing processes on top of them. The low-code platform, though, should provide adequate safety bumpers in the form of pre-flight testing, early monitoring, and feedback from the system. So the owners can be alerted if some application is going off track, or if there's functional or performance issues that arise, or security issues, of course. And I think we're going to see a lot more focus being placed on this kind of observability for low-code front as the applications become more common. Now, what results am I getting? I mean, the results do speak for themselves. I think this is why so many companies are investing so much into low-code. We've talked to dozens of customers who've generated some very impressive results in very short order using low code. But on your own journey, you need to just make sure you measure what matters when you're evaluating success in terms of whether that's modernization, the paying down technical debt, retiring old monoliths, old code. How quickly does that process move along? Or if it's customer experience. I mean, after all, if your new applications aren't eventually improving sales or service for customers, or at least indirectly helping employees do that as well, then why bother? So just prioritize projects around improving customer experience, and you can't go wrong, really. Time to market. How fast can you get new offerings out? Will that give you a competitive edge? It's a big part of it. Like this, for instance, this insurance example. New functionality is basically your biggest differentiator. And of course, labor. You want to eliminate repetitive tasks, eliminate wait time, eliminate the need to train employees on proprietary or new languages, and as well as toil. Just the constant process of having to move data around or have things that are hard to interpret or repair. So, what's the big point? Why are we doing low code? I think companies they're trying to achieve digital transformation, and digital transformation means aligning people, processes, and technology, and the whole technology stack entirely around delivering for customer needs. And obviously, that takes into account the employee experience as well, because that's crucial to getting things done. So to get there, you need to have everybody who's able to pull in the same direction. And I think this is really the killer app of low code. It has the ability to make every member of the team, every member of your organization, a very meaningful player in this digital transformation. So they're not just their logical thinking, but their business domain expertise, as well as their customer orientation and knowledge of the customer. It's just the big value that can't be denied. So lastly, I suggest just start somewhere if you on your low-code journey. These low-code apps should be far cheaper to build, much easier to change, and even if you set off on the wrong foot, you can always scrap them and start over without a huge cost of entry or rework. All big advantages for taking a look at low-code. So that's my presentation for today. Invite you to come look up our website at intelix.com. Read from our thousands of articles and thought leadership on low code, no code, and more. Also suggest subscribing to get our weekly Cortex or Brain Candy updates on vendors. Well, that's all I have for today. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you out there.